Hello, everyone. Welcome to Speak to Me in English. Remember, my name is Alex. I'm going to be your host for this new episode. And today we have a very special occasion because today I have with me a very special guest, a person that I met last year. She's Doğanay. She's from Turkey, and she's going to be with us talking about her experience with English. Doğanay, thanks again for accepting this invitation. How you doing today?
Hello, everyone. I am doing fine. Thanks for inviting me for this great concept and for this great project. I hope it will be very beneficial for everyone because English is a very universal language, as you know, and um, everyone is speaking English in this world. It's so easy to, meet somebody from a different country and talk about the topics you want to learn and give experience, give what you have on your mind and talk about everything. So it's a great language. You can meet so many people, read books about it, listen different accents, and meet different people from different countries. So it's a very important language. And thank you for your invitation. And I hope that it will be very beneficial to everyone. Um, if I have to talk about myself, I'm from Turkey, and I live in Ankara, which is the capital city of Turkey.
Okay.
And I am an interior architect, and I had my, I'm going to have my master degree in Turkey as well. And about my English background, well, I started to learn it when I was 7 years old, something like that, but I wasn't so into English at that point because I only knew the grammar, I only knew the vocabulary and everything. I only learned it at school. My mom helped me a bit as well since she's an English teacher, but I wasn't interested in at all, to be honest. I just, learned it for the exam and I just wanted to pass my school. That was all. But later we had to go to Belgium. My dad was there for 6 months, and I saw that they were getting along with people in Belgium, but I wasn't able to talk at all because, as I said, I wasn't interested in the language at all. Like, I didn't practice, I didn't talk, I didn't do anything. I was just there, like, looking at them and just introduce myself, but that was all. I didn't have any friends. So when I came back to Turkey, I said to myself, I was starting my high school back then. I said to myself, all right, I'm going to learn this language from the beginning and I'm going to learn everything about it. I want to communicate with everyone from the world because I saw it in Belgium. That's why I liked your project that much because I didn't talk to anyone. I didn't understand them. I didn't know anything. And it was for the NATO mission, NATO. So all the countries which are participating in NATO was there, from
Mhm.
America to Germany, from Belgium to um let's say France, let's say. So it was an international place. And I didn't talk to anyone. So, it felt so, horrible. I was so devastated. I started to learn English at my school. Again, as you know, the education you have at the school is not enough. We
Yeah.
all agree, probably, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because okay,
Yeah.
so
So you just, yeah, go on.
yeah, because and for example, something that you mentioned that it's like also like very important is that you mentioned that when you started to learn English, it was basically because you needed to do it because you were only like trying to pass the test. And I think that's something very important because, for example, sometimes something that I can see here also in Mexico is that sometimes, especially when you're finishing a degree at the university, sometimes it is necessary that you speak English, and many people also have like this idea like, okay, I'm going to learn English, I'm going to obtain a certificate in English just because I need it. But sometimes people don't see like this functionality of learning the language. They don't see like all these benefits, as you mentioned, like the chance of visiting another country and speaking to basically all the people or most of the people who are there. I think that's something that you really need to be able to speak the language. So like you really need to have like a real motivation to learn it, right?
Definitely motivation is the key. If you don't believe that, if you don't push yourself to learn the language, you will never learn it. It is all about interest and passion as well. You need to expose yourself with the language. That's what I did at high school. I started to learn it from the beginning. I learned all the grammar, all the vocabulary at my high school, and I found an application called Tandem, and it was a great one to meet people from different countries. Like I had so many friends from Mexico, let's say Argentina, um, what to say, Germany, from the UK, even Ireland, France, Greece, and um, like so many countries, even in Asia. So I was able to hear so many accents, different accents, and it was so good. Like at the end of the day, what I did was when I learned a new word or vocabulary or the grammar sentence, let's say grammar structure, I tried to use it on this application with talking my friends while talking my friends. And at the beginning, it was so hard because it was a new sentence or a new grammar structure to me. And I kind of struggled at the beginning, as I said, but I pushed myself to use it anyway. If I struggled a bit, then I, gave myself a chance to look at my book, to see how to use it, which word, how I can use this phrase, how I can create the sentence. And I pushed myself. And at the end, it became so natural for me to use the word or grammar while speaking. Anyway, did I feel comfortable enough to have a call or send an audio message over there? No, I didn't feel it at the beginning, like initially, let's use this word. But after a while, I felt confident enough and I started with sending audio messages when I didn't like how I used the phrase or how I used the grammar. Then I just sent another one. I tried again and again till I felt comfortable enough. After a while, after let's say 2 years later, I was confident enough to make a call and talk simultaneously, you know, and it became so natural for me. I loved speaking in English. I loved hearing different accents. I kind of became addicted to it even
Really?
because you're able to, meet so many people. You're able to, connect with a different person from a different country. Even let's say, even if I meet to Mexico, I wouldn't be able to meet you probably, let's say, over there. But thanks to the internet, thanks to the applications we have, the world is a small village. I can say it. The world is a small village thanks to internet. You are able to talk with so many people, and English is one of the best languages to do it. You can talk to a guy from Germany or a girl from I don't know, Denmark, let's say, and you can talk about a specific topic you want to learn. For example, I can give an example that I want to have my master degree on sustainable design, and I met a guy from Germany who, who is busy with rental, as rental. All right, he basically buys houses and sells them. But in German, sustainability is very important. It's a crucial point. Every building should be sustainable enough, and we can have a conversation about it. He gives me about his experience, and I talk about sustainable design as well. And we kind of, make an exchange, knowledge exchange, and it helps me a lot. I can improve myself on this topic thanks to him because he's in this field. So, I mean, anyone who's listening us can also benefit from different ideas and from different people from different countries. And the internet is a very good way to do it. So if you know English, it is a lot easier for sure. Like knowing Spanish is also a great way because Spanish is also widely spoken. But when it comes to English, English is mostly spoken around the world. So you can talk to a person from Asia, from Europe, anywhere, from Australia as well. So English is the most common way after finishing my high school, I wanted to go to a university which teaches in English, specifically in English. Then I studied 1 year English at my university. After finishing the preparation units, let's say, after I learned English in a good level, I went to the UK, Cambridge, for a month to attend an English course. And I got C1 level over there. What was so good about the UK was I was able to expose myself with the culture, with the with the language over there and with the accent. I already knew English like when I went there for sure, but the accent was hard for me because I got used to hearing American accents because of YouTube, and because of movies, series, exactly. So when I first heard the British accent, I was kind of in a great shock. I didn't understand what they were talking about, but after spending 1 or 2 weeks later, I totally understood everyone. Even when I went to a rural place in Cambridge, because the accent they have in the center versus the accent they have in the rural place are totally different. Even when I went to the rural place, I was able to talk to people over there. I was that good. Yeah, I was that good, and I was that advanced probably in the British accent. A bottle of water, kind of like that. I was able to understand it. Yeah. And I even have a funny memory if you want to hear.
Yeah, yes, of course.
If we have time. So I was in a rural place because my course was over there, and I went to a convenience store to buy a bottle of water. And there was a long queue over there, and I was thinking why it takes too long, because it's not that crowded. The center wasn't that crowded. And when as I got closer to the cashier, I saw that the cashier was talking to everyone. Everyone. He was talking to everyone about what they were buying. Oh, you have that Joyce. All right, that's a great brand, but I don't think that you could like that. You could buy another one. All right, so he was talking like that, and I was like, oh no, he's talking so weird. He has this weird accent, rural accent. What I'm going to do? So it was my turn, and I gave my bottle of water. It was just a bottle of water. Literally, I just bought water. So I gave it to the cashier, and he took it. He said, oh, you're having a bottle of water? That's great, because it's a very warm weather, right? I can understand you. It's so hot today. And he scanned it. Then he put it aside, and it was time for the pay. I had the credit card, and I had to insert it to the machine. And when I inserted, it didn't work initially, and he was like, why it doesn't work? And he just pulled it to himself, and he was like, oh no, I don't understand. And then he said, oh no, you flipped it from the other side. You didn't insert it from the wrong side. It says you are so silly. And he just inserted from the right side. And I was like, oh yeah, oh my god. Yeah, I'm so clumsy. And then he was like, would you like to take a receipt? And I was like, no, thank you. I don't want a receipt at all. Thank you. And I just took my water, and I just went to my residence. It was so bizarre. Yeah, anyway, this experience was also great. When I learned my major, and I learned my lessons in English at my university, it was very beneficial. Learning English is very beneficial, especially in the education sector, because you can find academic texts easily in English. If you want to watch a video, if you want to watch a lecture, you can do it easily on YouTube in English. But it can be by a different, it can be by a foreign person as well. For example, you can find a tutor, you can find a lecture which is taught by a foreign. It doesn't need to be from the UK or the USA. Yeah. So you need to understand their accent. You need to understand how they are speaking. It can be hard initially, but after listening for a minute, for a few minutes, let's say, not a minute. I exaggerated it. But after listening their accent for a few minutes, you kind of understand what they are saying, but you need to have a background.
Yeah,
If you
exactly.
don't listen, if you don't get used to listening different accents already, you struggle a lot to understand them. I experienced that before when I was a beginner on tandem. It was so hard for me to understand my friends' accent because they were foreigners, and I didn't get used to hearing a foreign accent from, I mean, the USA or the UK accent, British accent, I mean. I initially struggled a lot. It was so hard for me to understand them. But after exposing myself, listening different accents from Brazil or Argentina or Mexican, German, European, let's say, or Ecuador, I find myself very confident to talk to foreigners right now because I expose myself. I heard so many different accents right now that I can communicate with everyone. They don't need to be native. They can be foreign. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And is there any accent that you consider like to be like particularly difficult, or which was the most difficult accent for you to catch in a conversation?
Brazilian.
Brazilian?
Yeah, Brazilian. Generally, people speaking Portuguese or Spanish was a little bit hard for me to understand. I mean, if their native language is Spanish or Portuguese, I mean,
Portuguese?
yeah, it was kind of hard for me to understand it initially. But I have spoken so many people, uh, whose mother tongue is
Yeah.
Spanish or Portuguese right now, that I feel confident enough to
Yeah.
speak with them.
Okay, and for example, you mentioned that when you got that you got like a C1 English level in one of your tests, when you got that level, did you feel that you were in that level? Did you feel like a C1 English speaker, or maybe did you feel that maybe your level wasn't really good, or how was like this situation? Because sometimes, for example, I have seen some people that they present a test, they obtain a degree, and they obtain maybe like a B1 level, B2 level, but when I talk to them, they say or they tell me, hey, I got my B1 level, my B2 level, but I don't really feel like I have that knowledge. So did you experience something similar? Did you feel confident every time that you obtain a new level, or how was the experience for you?
Yeah, I understood your question. Like, yeah, B1, B2 level is in the middle, right?
Yeah.
You don't feel fluent enough, but at the same time, you are not an average speaker either. You already know the basics. So B1, B2 level is very how to say, it's a hard one. Yeah, you are in the middle. You don't feel confident enough. Yeah, but I mean, when I get my C1 level, I already knew that I was fluent enough. But B1, B2 level is very tricky. I can say a tricky. Tricky is the right word for this. I was thinking about this word. Yeah, it is so tricky. When I had my B1, B2 level, I was the same. I didn't think that I was bad. I didn't think that I was a bad speaker, but at the same time, I didn't feel confident enough to speak. Yeah, this is the game changer. Yeah, it is the right time to practice, because if you don't push yourself, if you feel shy, if you feel uncomfortable to have practice or to use your skills, you will never grow in this. You will never develop. B1, B2 level is very crucial. It is the game changer, milestone, I can say. Yeah, it's the milestone. B1, B2 is the milestone. It is the life changer. If you practice, you will be C1, C2 level. But if you don't practice, then you will definitely go back to A2, A1 level, because it is the best time to practice if you have B1, B2 level.
Yes, and as you mentioned, I think that, yeah, it also depends a lot on like your self-confidence, how confident you feel about your own level, because as you mentioned, sometimes you have like the basics, sometimes you know the grammar, you know the structures, but at the moment that you have to talk to someone, especially when you have to talk to someone who's a native speaker, I think that you really feel like you're going to fail, or maybe you feel like that person is going to like to catch every little
Judge you.
mistake that you make. And well, I
Mhm.
think that sometimes that's not really true. I think that even if you're speaking with natives, I think that at the end, if you're having like a fluent conversation and if you make little mistakes, I think that sometimes people don't notice those mistakes. See,
Yeah,
and
that's true. That's true. Yeah. For example, I have a friend from Ireland,
uh
and I mean, we met online. Um, and I mean, when I make a mistake, he doesn't like judge me. He even says that, sometimes you make this mistake, but you can correct it like that. He never
uh
judges me. It was the same when I was in the UK. They don't judge you. Don't think like that.
uh
You're a Spanish speaker, right?
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, yes. So think about it, like let's say that somebody wants to speak in Spanish, they are just learning it. Would you judge them? Would you make fun of them? Nobody would do that. It is the same for them. And even my Irish friend says that, yes, I am an English native speaker, but I also make mistakes. It is so common. Yeah. So you are a native Spanish speaker, but you also make mistakes in Spanish as well.
Exactly.
Do you judge your friend when he or she makes a mistake? You go like, oh yeah, you shouldn't. I mean, normally, or you just correct them if it's a big mistake, or you ask them if they mean something else because you don't understand it. There's no judgment. I mean, it, yeah, grammar, structure, everything is, yes, of course, important.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, let's say that you want to learn an instrument. If you don't know how to uh, if you don't know the notes, if you don't know how to push the strings with your finger,
Uh-huh.
then you wouldn't be able to play it, of course. But you could but when you understand how to play it and etc., you would be able to play any songs. It is the same for English. Yes, you can learn the structure, you have to know the grammar, how to create a sentence. It is the basics. Um it is the mentality for sure. If you
Uh-huh.
don't know the game, if you don't know the rules in a game, if you
Uh-huh.
don't know how to walk right on the game,
Exactly.
if you don't know how to use the mouse, you wouldn't be able to play it. But what matters on the game is how you proceed, how you create the story. It is the same in English. You have to know the grammar, you have to know the structure, yes, of course, but it is not everything. How you speak, how you introduce yourself, how you talk to people is your concept and mentality and your game. The English grammar just gives you the rules. It just teaches you how to play the instrument, how you play the game. It is just the introduction.
and
Yeah.
and and we just have to keep in mind that when we're talking to someone and we receive like a comment or a correction about something, we just have to notice that the intention of that person is helping us, is trying to help us to be better. So that it's not like sometimes it happens that maybe we receive a correction and we think that maybe that person is angry, or that person is like, oh come on, how you're making those mistakes. But at the end, the intention of the other person is just trying to help us, trying to be better, trying to have a better grammar. So at the end, we just have to take those correction as a tip, as some kind of help to be better, instead of thinking that that person is angry at us, or that person is just judging at us. So we just have to just like to clear our minds about like all these negative thoughts that we have every time that we receive a comment or a correction in the way we talk.
Yeah, also keep in mind that if you are able to speak to those, I mean those people, those
Mhm.
native speakers, you are good enough because
Yeah,
you are able to communicate. Why we learn languages? Because we want to communicate to people.
exactly. Because yeah, at the end,
So yeah.
yeah, at the end, that's the basic point. Every time that we learn a new language, it's because we want to communicate with other people. So if we can communicate, And so at the end, if we make a few mistakes, but if we can have a successful communication, then we can see that we are speaking in another language, that we're having an effective a conversation with another person. So, and as you mentioned, even we can make mistakes in our own languages. As a Spanish speaker, in my case, sometimes I make some mistakes in Spanish. And at the end, we never stop learning any language. It can be English or Spanish in my case, Turkish in your case. So languages are constantly evolving, they are changing. So at the end, basically, we are like languages students the whole life.
Exactly. And it never stop practicing, never stop learning. And expose yourself with the language.